everyone, this is the orientation video that goes along with Module 1. I typically make a video for Module 1, and then you can use that video for every other module after, because essentially every module looks the same, with a few minor differences that I might point out specifically for that week. Otherwise, you can always refer back to this video if you're wanting to review how to navigate each of the modules. So this is Module 1. This week, we will be reviewing the nursing process and going over skills essentials. Every module has a Start Here page. On this page, and if you're watching this video, you're likely already on this page because I put the video at the top. On this overview area, you will get kind of an idea, a general idea of what we'll be doing that week, so you can get in the mindset, prepare yourself, kind of figure out if there's anything that you need to do or equipment that you need to get a hold of before coming to the lecture or lab. Next, you'll have your learning outcomes. So we're always working on learning outcomes. There are learning outcomes for the nursing program. You'll be evaluated on those during things like simulation or clinical. As far as when we're talking about the lecture or the lab, we're trying to meet those learning outcomes, but you're not necessarily being evaluated on those like you are with simulation and clinical. Moving down a little bit more, I always put a module checklist. Kind of gives you an idea of what you'll be doing that week as far as readings, how many module parts there are. So this one you can see right here, this one has 3 parts. So when we are in our labs on Fridays and Saturdays, there will likely be 3 parts to the module. When we drop those Saturday labs, sometimes there will only be 2 parts to the module. So this one has 3 parts. All of the times that I put here, like approximately 8 to 10 hours, or if there are others times listed, that is just approximate for overall what students have told me it takes to get through the work and what I know to be the timing for each of the skills videos or the lectures, things like that. That could vary per the individual student. So some students need to watch things twice, some students can watch things a little bit faster or get through the content a little bit faster. So that's just a general idea of what it's going to take for that. Moving down here, what do I need to do before coming to class? Everything that is listed on these pages is due before class. So meaning you can't come to class not reading the chapters or not watching the skills videos or completing the skills quizzes. That is all pre-work. So you have to think about it like that. That's not something that you do after you come, because typically in lecture and lab, we don't have the time to spend reviewing everything. So a lot of the time that we're giving to you guys, and you are getting credit for the time outside of class doing these things, those need to be done before you attend the lecture or the lab. So that'll kind of give you a general idea of what you need to do. There's some reading, some PowerPoints, some videos, quizzes, etc. For assessments, there are some required assessments for each of the modules. Whenever there are skills, you can assume that there are going to be videos and quizzes that you need to complete. So for this one, you're going to have videos and quizzes that you have to obtain an 80% on. Those will all be assigned to you in Lippincott. So in a second, I'll transition over to Lippincott and I'll show you where those videos are and where those quizzes are in the assignments there. Lastly, you will see a weekly schedule. This is just an overview of the prep work. So you can get an idea of about how long it's going to take you, what you need to do. Anything that is bolded is worth points. So I always try to bold whatever is worth points so that way you don't miss that. So some students will grab this checklist and just kind of make sure that they do everything. It's not in detail. On each of the pages that are coming up after this, you will see more detailed information. So for lecture, you can see you have some readings from either the fundamentals or the medical surgical book, recorded PowerPoints. For the lab, you're going to have some skills readings, overviews, videos, and then obviously the quizzes that go along with those videos and any recorded PowerPoints for the week for the lab. In bold, you can see that you do have the videos and quizzes. All of those must be completed and the quizzes must be at an 80% to get credit for the week. There are optional Prep U quizzes. So we'll talk about this a little bit more during our orientation together, but you can do Prep U quizzes in Lippincott, which are just quizzes on the chapter that you read. So just say you read chapter 1 and you want to take a Prep U quiz. The Prep U will ask you, do you want to take 5 questions, 10 questions, 20 questions? And that's just a great way to really assess where you're at with the knowledge and then deepen it so you can get higher and higher on your mastery levels. It is adaptive to the student. So I will talk more about that during the orientation, but that's something you can start thinking about. How am I going to kind of manage my time with all of these things that are due? Once you review this page, you're going to hit the next. The next is always on the right-hand side. If you want to go back, you can always hit previous. So let's hit next here. So next, we have Module 1 Friday lecture. This is the lecture page. So prior to coming to lecture on Friday, all of this on this page needs to be completed. I always start with an introduction. What are you going to be learning about? Kind of get you in the mindset. Any objectives. So these objectives are specific to this lecture. So for this lecture, you have 4 objectives that you need to be able to answer, either before coming to lecture by doing the prep work or after we meet in the lecture. So you can do that at any time. They're not due or anything. They're just helpful for you to be able to answer these in order to prepare yourself for the exam. All of our exam questions are mapped back to the objectives on these pages. So make sure you can answer all of those. Here is the prep work. So the prep work, you are going to have readings. There will be key concepts, just key concepts that the publisher has put out for those chapters. You have notes. So if you'd like to fill out the notes as you're reading or listening to the pre-recorded lectures, that's an option for you. Not all students do the notes. It's completely up to you what works for you and your time and your learning. Here are the chapters. So it does look like quite a few chapters for week 1. However, when you start to kind of look at what these are, they're shorter chapters. So each one has, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 pages, but there's nothing that's exceeding more than that for each of these chapters, but you'll look in Lippincott for that. You also have 1 chapter in the medical surgical book, and you're only reading a few pages in there. So not too bad. I know there's a lot there. There are also PowerPoints here. So these PowerPoints are listed with the time next to each PowerPoint. So you can kind of look at this and say, okay, how much time is here? Like I said, I estimate those times for each student. So some students, yeah, it's only 12 minutes for this, but maybe a student has to watch it twice or slow it down a little bit or pause it a lot or something like that. So you can definitely manage your time by looking at these things. You can do whatever you'd like with these. You can either watch the pre-recorded lecture first and then reference the textbook for anything that you want to follow up with, or students will read the book first. So they'll read all the chapters and then they'll watch the recorded lectures. That kind of solidifies what they read, and they do it that way. So I've had students do it both ways, either starting with the PowerPoints first, then reading, or reading and then doing the PowerPoints. It's kind of whatever works for you. Here are the videos. They're the same videos just in YouTube. So some students like to just be able to click on this and see all the videos. So you'll see there are 6 videos here, and then there are 6 videos in this playlist. So if you'd rather YouTube, some students like that so they can just kind of watch them in sequential order. So whatever works for you, it's totally up to you. All right. Lastly, you'll see, what do I want to bring to class? What will we be doing? So you'll want to bring your electronic device. You always want to make sure you have access to Canvas. So that will require your Duo authentication. So you want to make sure you have a phone or whatever you do that on, and any of your ebooks, which, if you have a device, you'll have that. Please also bring your Ackley Nursing Diagnosis Handbook. We are talking about nursing process in this lecture, so you do need that handbook that you bought. And if you need to reference what book that is, just make sure you go back to either the syllabus, which has pictures, or the book list. All right, so just say you've worked through that whole page, you're good, you've read, you've watched your videos. Now you're ready to move on to the lab. So for Friday's skills lab, there's a lot of objectives here, as you can see. So the other one only had 4. This one has 16, but a lot of them are just skills based. So making sure you're able to do the skills that we do in the lab. The skills lab for this Friday is basically all of the CNA skills that you learned if you took the CNA course. So we call it the skills essentials. It's basically everything you do as a CNA. Not that the nurse doesn't do those things, but it was part of your training if you took the CNA course. So just make sure you can speak or answer each of these objectives. The prep work is here. So once again, same format. You got your key concepts here. You have your readings for your ebook. Then in your skills book, this is what you're going to be watching and reading about. Okay, and that's all assigned in Lippincott. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. Make sure, once again, that you complete all of the videos and quizzes to get your points for this week. If you don't complete your videos and quizzes, you're going to lose out on some of those points. Next, you'll see here's your pre-recorded lectures. This has audio if you download it, and then here are the two in YouTube if you like YouTube better for those. Lastly, you'll see here, I'll let you read through this yourself, so this video isn't excessively long, but you'll see what you need to bring, what we'll be doing, and if you need to be in uniform or not. And I try to always include that on the page. So just say you worked through all this, you read, watched the videos, did whatever you needed to do. Now you're ready to move on to Saturday. So you could do Saturday. Some students will prepare all for Friday, and then after class on Friday, they'll work on Saturday. That can be difficult because we don't get out of class until 3:45 or 4:45, depending if there's an exam. And so getting home, that late and then trying to get done everything you need to for Saturday can be a little overwhelming. So some students will just throughout the week prepare for both Friday and Saturday. It's completely up to you, but everything due for Saturday will be due Saturday before. Everything due for Friday will be due Friday before. So it's completely up to you how you want to manage your time. Once again, you have your introduction, what we'll be doing. This day we'll be working on vital signs and headed to assessments. You have some objectives here, so making sure you can speak to each of those, answer those before coming to the lecture, and then obviously after coming and attending, you can follow up with anything you needed help with. As far as the readings go, you'll have your key concepts here again. Here are some notes if you'd like to fill out the notes as you do the reading here. And then obviously the same thing, you got to watch your videos, complete your quizzes, obtaining at least an 80% to get points for the week. There are some PowerPoints here, pre-recorded lectures that you're going to watch before coming. So vital signs, is kind of long. So that's 30 minutes there. And then you can see the time for the other ones. Once again, you have your YouTube video links here. My suggestion would be to, on whatever day you're starting to prepare for the week, you sit down and you write out what you're going to do each day. So maybe you want to start prepping on the Saturday before the next week. So on Saturday, you kind of spell out, what am I going to do that day? What am I going to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Whatever works for your schedule. Everybody works different schedules. So some students are going to work on the weekends after, sometimes even after lab on a Saturday, they might work night shift. Maybe you work Monday through Thursday now that you're starting a Friday course. So it really depends on what your life is like and how you can manage all of this. You also have some additional resources here. So here are those YouTube links if you'd rather watch them in YouTube. Moving on down here, you have additional optional resources. So here's a head to toe sheet. That's optional if you'd like to look at it. It's not required. Sometimes I'll put some optional stuff on the page for you. Then you can look and see what you need to bring. So you can see on this one, I'll just point it out that you do need your stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, a watch with a second hand, or as long as your watch can, do seconds and not keep turning on and off, and then a pen light. You also, need to come in your full uniform. That does include your nursing shirt or scrub pants or the full uniform with both scrub top and bottom. And then it tells you that we'll be doing various assessment and vital signs on a partner, and that faculty will be there helping you throughout the process. So now that you've made it through the 3 required pages, so we had our Friday lecture, our Friday lab, and our Saturday lab, what I would suggest you guys do is when you sit down to start your organization for the week, you really take the time to set goals for each day. So the highest success rate in block 1 is students who manage their time well. So what you're going to want to do is whenever you're going to start the process of prepping, you want to write out, okay, maybe you want to start prepping on Saturday after lab or Sunday, whatever works for your home life or personal life. So you say, okay, on Saturday or Sunday, this is what I'm going to get done this day. On Monday, this is what I'm going to get done. On Tuesday, this is what I'm going to get done, and meet those goals. Make them realistic though. Don't put, okay, all day Saturday, I'm going to get this whole module done, and You don't even have 10 hours in the day to do that. So be realistic with those goals, but set yourself up for success from the beginning. What am I going to do each day that helps me manage my time well so I don't feel overwhelmed or get behind in the course? Lastly, when you click next, you will see some optional resources. These are completely optional. I want to say that again. These are optional, helpful resources that I have just kind of gotten over the years teaching this course. So I will put them out to you guys if I have them. Extra videos. These people are great. You'll kind of start to know registered nurse RN, Sarah, registered nurse RN. You'll start to know this guy, Keith RN. He's well known with nursing students, and this nurse Mike. You'll start to kind of love them, or some students don't like them. So it's kind of whatever works for you. But if you want to do some review, you can look at those. These are completely optional. I always include some questions if I have them. So if you wanted to spend some time practicing these little things, you can try to, fill in the blank. These are just practice questions, and it'll tell you if you're right by hitting the check button. So all of these are extra questions for you guys. Here's a little case study. I always encourage you, if you want to try stuff like this, to do it. If you have the time, you don't have to feel obligated, but if you do, then go ahead and try it, okay? And you'll check your answer at the end for those. After you've looked at the optional materials, if you want to, then you should be done with your prep for the week. As promised, let's go over to Lippincott really quick and try to navigate how we see our assignments in Lippincott. Okay, so once you get into Lippincott, you are going to see your dashboard. Not sure if yours looks exactly like this, but it should look very similar with the products that you've put in. So let's just go back to this module. Let's go back to okay, so I went back to the Module 1 Friday lecture. I want to show you guys where you're going to find stuff. So you can see from your fundamentals book, you need to read these chapters. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back over to Lippincott, and you are going to find your Fundamentals of Nursing book. Once you hit Launch Course here, you are going to get an option to either do the Fundamentals book or the Skills book. So right now we're working in the textbook, like the Fundamentals of Nursing textbook. And then what we need to do is remind ourselves what chapters we have due. So we have 13 through 19. So you're going to go back over to Lippincott, and you're going to say, okay, over here it tells me where the chapters are. You can see this right here. So I was 13 through 19, so I'm going to go down here. Here are all of your chapters for that. So when you click into a chapter, you're going to have a lot of options. Right now, you're just focusing on the ebook. So you want to just read the ebook, and you want to make sure you can fully answer the objectives after reading that chapter, watching the pre-recorded lecture, whatever works for your learning style. You need to do something in order to be prepared for the exam. So that's where your ebook would be. Like I said, there's a lot of other options in here that you can do. We'll talk about this more in the orientation. Maybe some things that you want to do or try that would be good for your learning. You can always do anything else in this. Here's the Prep U. So maybe after you read the chapter and listen to the pre-recorded lecture, you set yourself up for a Prep U. Okay, so maybe you want to do 5 questions, 10 questions, whatever works for you and your time. Okay, going back to the module. So each chapter is listed in there separately. You're going to go to that. When you need the medical surgical ebook, you're going to go back to Lippincott. You're going to go to My Content right at the top here. And you are going to find, here's your medical surgical book right here. It's your Hinkle book. So you'll do the same thing. You'll launch the course. You will, let's see, that's down here. You will hit content. I have a lot more courses than you guys, so if that looked overwhelming, it's not what you're likely going to see. Then you're going to go here, and we see that chapter 1 is in here. We're going to click on the chapter, and then we can go do the same thing. It's going to look the same. So here's our chapter. There might be some other things you want to do in here. If you want to do a prep you, it's up here. Sometimes I do assign these 1-minute nursing videos. So you might see these assigned to you if you'd like to try them. They're always optional. But sometimes, this one on nursing process might be a really good video to watch to supplement what you just read. So sometimes I do assign those, but I do list them as optional. Okay, going back to the module, I will show you guys the Friday Skills Lab page. That way you're familiar with how to prep for the lab. So moving down here, we see that we have to read some ebook chapters, which is fine. We know how to do the ebook now that I showed you. Let's go back. But we do know that we do have skills on Friday. So although we're reading information about asepsis, safety, hygiene, and activity, we know that there's some skills videos that are going to go along with that. So for this particular lab, I do have readings in the fundamentals book, but I also have skills videos. So the skills videos, how you're going to find those is you'll go back to this content area. Remember, it's going to give you a choice. Do you want the fundamentals book or do you want the skills? I want the skills this time. What I'm going to do for the skills is either I can find it in here, but I think what's easier for you guys is to go to the assignments that's over here, listed over here. I click on it and you will see everything assigned to you in here. So remember, you're going to find your course. Remember, you're going to have the Fundamentals of Nursing book or the Skills book. We're looking for the Skills book now. And there's multiple ways to do this. So I'll show you 2 ways. Either you can go into the topic that you're looking at, or what's easier, or students have told me is easier, is to go to this assignments link right here, click on the assignments, and then you will see all of your assignments listed in here. So I've assigned all of it to you for the skills. The reason why I assigned it to you is because it's worth points. So the readings from the fundamentals book I don't assign because that is something you do on your own time. Like I said, some students read the textbook front to back. Some students choose to reference the textbook a little bit more. I would highly encourage you to read the textbook, but sometimes students struggle with that. So I don't assign those because they're not worth points. Anything that is worth points. So you can see here all of the assignments are included. The reason why I assigned the skills videos and quizzes is because it's worth points. So anything in the course that is worth points in Lippincott, I will assign to you. That way you keep organized. You won't have the readings and supplemental things or optional things assigned only because they're not worth points in the course. And so those are things that you can do on your own time as you choose. So as you can see here, you have quite a few videos to watch before Friday. Some of these are overviews, so you'll see the purple is a topic overview, so that's more of a reading. You'll see that this one is a skill on performing hand hygiene using alcohol-based hand sanitizer. When you open it, you will see you have a couple things to do in here. You have a video. That's like an overview of the skill again because it's purple. You have a quiz, so the quizzes are green. And then you have your checklist. The checklist is up to you if you want to reference that or print it. You do not have to print all of these checklists. They're just included. How we assign them, it comes like kind of as a package deal, but really all you are responsible for are the videos in red and the green quizzes. So red and green, red and green. We got to remember that, okay? And like I said, there's quite a bit here, guys. So management of time and getting ready for the course is going to be essential. The sooner you can get your books, the better. I know some of you are waiting for financial aid, and I completely understand that. So I'm a little bit more flexible week 1, but to miss all of this stuff and come into week 1 or 2 not reviewing any of this stuff or completing it and then having to backtrack and get it all done is going to be really overwhelming for a student. So try your best to get as much as you can done before you start even coming to the orientation. that would be great. But throughout that week, you need to get it all done before you start the class on January 10th. Okay, so I think that kind of wraps up how to prepare for the lecture and the lab. Like I said, I will be going over more of this in the orientation on the 6th. So if you've not gotten your books or made it this far, then you will have that week on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th to do all of this in order to be ready for the 10th. Okay, so do your best to get most of this done before, so that way you're not feeling very overwhelmed that first week. All right, well, that concludes this video. If you happen to have any questions, anything comes up, you can always reach out to me. You can email me and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. I will see you guys soon. Looking forward to that. Have a great day. Bye. If any questions come up, please email me. I am looking forward to seeing you all in the orientation day, and I hope you have a wonderful break. Bye.